Welcome to this first video for Introduction to Music Fundamentals B this semester. Before we start actual teaching, I just want to remind you that these videos work alongside your textbook, and also you'll need to be able to complete all of the worksheets that are included with the textbook. If you don't complete the worksheets, you won't really get practice with the things that we are learning here, and the practice part is the most important thing. So I encourage you each week to finish those worksheets so that you're really on top of this work. Now, last semester we learned some things about rhythm, but only for a particular set of time signatures. So I'm putting up some revision on the screen at the moment. If you look at the screen, you'll see I've listed all the time signatures that we learned. The ones that were in simple time and the ones that were in compound time. A reminder that simple time, the pulse divides into 2 beats, but in compound time, the pulse divides into 3 beats. So you'll see there, for example, simple duple time, 2/4 time, has got 2 pulses in the bar, and those 2 pulses divide into 2 quavers each, whereas in compound duple time, where there are also 2 pulses, each pulse divides into 3 quavers, and so it goes on with all of the different time signatures. Now, this semester we're going to look at some of the other time signatures that are common in music and that you may already have come across in your performances. Let's have a look at the ones that have a 2 at the bottom. Now, just a reminder that the bottom number tells us what the pulse is, what pulse we're working with. So let's just remind ourselves how that works. The bottom number of the time signature is always the number of pulses that can fit into a semi-breve. Okay, and a semi-breve is worth 4 pulses altogether. So if the bottom number of a time signature is 2, you say 4 divided by 2, and that equals 2. So we know that we're working with minims because minims are worth 2. All right. Remember when we were working with 4/4 time, for example, if we were to say 4 divided by 4 is equal to 1, a 1 pulse note is a crotchet. And that's how it works. So that's just a reminder for you. But all of those time signatures that we just saw, 2/2, 3/2, 4/2, mean that we're working with minim pulses. So let's have a look at how those work. 2/2 time, there are 2 minim pulses in a bar. That means 2 plus 2 is equal to 4 beats in a bar. Then 3/2 is 3 minims in a bar. You can see that written on your screen there. 3 minims in a bar is equal to 6. And 4/2 time is 4 minims in a bar. So 1 bar is equal to 8. Now, you may have your thinking cap already switched on and think, isn't 4/4 the same, exactly the same as 2/2? It has the same number of beats in the bar. It's also equal to 4. What is the actual difference? So there is only a subtle difference. Let's have a look at what that difference is. 4/4 is usually used for slower and moderate tempos, where a composer intends that there should be 4 distinct pulses in a bar. Okay, so we're looking at time signatures that are something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4. Somewhere around there where you can still hear 4 distinct pulses. 2/2, on the other hand, is often used for fairly quick tempos. Now remember, we're counting in 2 pulses per bar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, where the pulse is 2, but there are 4 pulses in the bar. Okay, so 2/2 is for faster music, usually, not always, but usually, and 4/4 is for moderate and slower music. The difficult thing is that both of these time signatures operate with the same conventions in terms of note grouping. So if you are asked to identify a time signature of a passage of music, and the total number of beats is 4, so there are 4 beats in a bar, the passage may legitimately be either 4/4 or 2/2. It'll be up to you, okay, because the notes are grouped exactly the same. You'd only be able to tell the exact difference between them if you were able to listen to the music played to you, and you could hear if there were 4 distinct pulses in the bar or only 2. Now, another thing that you may come across quite frequently is a C or a C with a line through them. And I'm just going to explain this to you briefly in case you come across them. So if you see a C, it stands for common, and it's usually associated, or almost always associated, with 4/4 time, because 4/4 time is so common. Okay, it stands for common time. So if you see a C, it stands for 4/4 time. It's just like a placeholder for 4/4. Likewise, if you see the C with a line going through it, that means it's 2/2 time, or cut common. That's sometimes what it's called. So if you see any of these abbreviations instead of a time signature, C means 4/4, C with a line through it means 2/2. All right, now, sometimes we get time signatures that look like they could be simple or compound. Here is one of those examples, 3/8. Now, in a slow tempo, the 3 quavers could feel like separate pulses, in which case it would feel like simple triple time. But in a faster tempo, you may consider all 3 quavers as a dotted crotchet, or one pulse. Let me just demonstrate that for you. So 3/8, you could get the 3 quavers going like this. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. There you can feel the 3 pulses all together. But you may get a very fast tempo like this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And you can see by my hand I'm giving 1 pulse. Okay, that's a 1 dotted crotchet pulse. So it can act in 2 ways depending on the speed of the piece. Whichever way it acts, the notes are always grouped according to a dotted crotchet pulse in 3/8. So 3/8 always, if there are 3 quavers in the bar, they are beamed together. And a whole bar of 3 quavers is equal to 1.5. So this is another time signature that you get 3/8, and it can act either as simple or as compound, depending on the context. Let's have a look at some other compound time signatures. Here are 2 of them, 6/4 and 9/4. You'll remember that we had 6/8 and 9/8 last semester, and these work very much in the same way. Now, the bottom number, 4, tells us that we are working with crotchet pulses. Remember, the bottom number, if you say there are 4 pulses in a semibreve, so 4 divided by 4 is equal to 1, we know that we are dealing with crotchets. This tells us that there are 6 crotchets or 9 crotchets in a bar. But whenever you see 6 or 9, we know that we're probably dealing with a compound time signature. So, before, when we were dealing with 6/8 and 9/8, the pulses were dotted crotchets. Now, we are dealing with dotted minim pulses. Okay, usually, these time signatures are used for very fast music. So in this case, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There, each dotted minim divides into 3 crotchets. So it's basically a larger version of 6/8 or 9/8. They work in the very similar way. There are 6 crotchets in a bar for 6/4, and so that would one bar would equal to 6. And there are 9 crotchets in a bar for 9/4. That means each bar is equal to 9. Now we also get things called irregular time signatures. Remember, we've worked with simple and we've worked with compound. Now we look at something called irregular time signatures. So that means that they contain pulses which can divide into 2 and 3. So let me give you 2 examples. These are the commonest of the irregular time signatures, 5/4 and 7/4. Let's have a look at them individually. Now 5/4 cannot divide into 2 or 3 like other time signatures we have already learned. Remember, like let's say 4/4. 4/4 can divide into 2, or each pulse can divide into 2. Each crotchet pulse divides into 2 quavers. Or 3, so 6/8, for example, 1 dotted crotchet can divide into 3. Here, the time signature cannot divide into 2 or 3 all the way through the bar. It has to be a combination of 2 and 3. So let's have a look at 2 versions of 5/4. 5/4 can be 2 pulses, a 2 pulse and a 3 pulse. So if you have a look there for 5/4, I've got a minim and a dotted minim, where that means there are 2 pulses and then 3. Or it can be 3 pulses and 2, like in the second example, 3 plus 2. So if we were doing it, for example, performing it, it could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 pulses in a bar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You may be familiar with a piece called Take 5, a jazz piece called Take 5. Da da ba da 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 dum ba da da. If you know that piece, it's in 5/4 time, and it uses 3 plus 2. Okay, of the 5/4. So if you look in your textbook, I've actually written it out in your textbook so that you can see how Take 5 works, how it uses the 5/4 time signature. Basically, all you need to know is that 5/4 can divide into 2 plus 3 or 3 plus 2. And both versions have 2 pulses. 1 pulse is worth 2 and 1 pulse is worth 3. That's why it's called irregular, because there aren't 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 or 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3, but a combination of 2 and 3. The same is true of 7/4. Okay, so this time you can have combinations of 2 plus 2 plus 3. Let's have a look at the combinations. So the first one, I've got 3 plus 2 plus 2. So it would count like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Or it could be 2 plus 3 plus 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Or it could be 2 plus 2 plus 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Any of those are legitimate. You'll see how I've grouped the notes there carefully for you so you can see how they work. Again, it's irregular because it's combinations of 3 and 2, depending on how you group them. And then we've come across this before, but I just want to reinforce it. Something called the anacrusis. Sometimes we call it an upbeat. So this is when, in a piece of music, a musical phrase starts on a weak pulse, usually the weakest pulse of a meter. So for example, a piece of music in 4/4 time might start on the 4th pulse. A lot of music does this, okay? And usually it's to accommodate a text of a song or something like that, where, and we'll look at this in a minute, where the words have natural stresses of their own. And to keep those stresses correct, you have to use an upbeat to do it. So let me give you an example. We may start a piece like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's where the music starts on the 4th beat. Let me just demonstrate that again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It starts on the 4th beat and then moves to the 1st beat. That's called an anacrusis. So let's have a look at a real example of how that works. So I'm sure many of you are familiar with a church song called Siyahamba. Siyahamba kukanyeni kwekos. Okay, if you know that song, then you'll be able to understand what anacrusis is. Think about the word Siyahamba. If you say that word, the natural stress is on the hum part of Siyahamba. Siyahamba. Not Siyahamba or Siyahamba or Siyahamba, but Siyahamba. If we wrote the si of siyahamba on the first beat of the bar, it would make it accented. Siyahamba instead of siyahamba. So the anacrusis allows us to delay the syllable ham to the first beat by pushing si and ya onto the anacrusis, onto the upbeat. Siyahamba kukanyeni kwekos. Okay, the same works for some of the other words as well. You'll know that in Zulu and Xhosa and some of our other local languages that usually the accent of a syllable in a word is the penultimate one, the second last one. It's the same here. Okay, so usually in music, the anacrusis is to accommodate the accents of words for a song. Okay, so listen to the music here. 1, 2, 3. Siyahamba kukanyeni kwekos. It starts on the fourth beat, not on the first beat. 1, 2, 3. Siyaha. Okay, that is an anacrusis. Another thing which we have come across already in some of your work is something called syncopation. And syncopation is the technical name for rhythms that occur consistently off the established pulse. Composers often use syncopation to make their music sound really urgent and energetic. And you'll see what I mean when I give you some examples just now. So the reason that syncopated music sounds more urgent is because the rhythm of the piece is working against the natural patterns of the pulse. So there's always like an urgency because they're fighting with each other, the regular pulse and the actual music. So let's see how this works. Here is a Sotho church song, but I think it's also a Zulu, the music is used for a Zulu wedding song too. I'm going to sing it for you so that you can feel it. And then you'll see how it works. Look at the screen while I'm singing it so you can see where the beats are. I've labeled the beats so you can see them. I'm going to tap my foot as well and start by counting 1, 2, 3 of the time signature so that you can feel how it works. Okay, so here's the time signature. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Hallelujah. Pilotsarona, ditabile kaufela, hallelujah. Pilotsarona, ditabile kaufela. This time I'm going to clap so that you can hear that some of the pulses are not coming on the beats, but off them. Okay, here we go again. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Hallelujah. Pilotsarona, ditabile kaufela, hallelujah. Pilotsarona, ditabile kaufela. If you look at the screen, you'll see that ya of hallelujah comes in between beat 1 and beat 2. And P of pilotsa also comes between beat 2 and beat 3. Look in the second bar, you'll see that D of ditabile comes in the middle of beat 2 and beat 3. And you'll see that the same happens for hallelujah in the last bar of that line. Listen to it again so that you can feel things are off the beat. They're working against the beat. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Hallelujah. Pilotsarona, ditabile kaufela, hallelujah. Pilotsarona, ditabile kaufela. Okay, that is how syncopation works. Let me give you some more commentary about this. Again, you'll see we've learned about the anacrusis, and the word at the beginning, hallelujah. The natural accent is on lu. Hallelujah. You don't go hallelujah or hallelujah or hallelujah, but hallelujah. Do you see how the lu syllable comes on the first beat? Okay, so the halle has to come before the beat. It's an anacrusis, okay? But this anacrusis has a double feeling. It's also in syncopation because the ha and the le come off the principal beats. They're in between the third beat, the second beat and the third beat. Okay, so it gives it a bit more of an urgency than usual. Okay. Now I'm going to clap some examples for you so that you can actually just feel the rhythm of them. In each case, the first one, for example, I'm going to clap the first bar so that you can feel what the real tempo should be, or what the real pulse is. And then you'll see how I displace all of those so that they come off the pulse. Okay? Just see how it feels. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can feel how it moves against the beat. Let me try it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can feel that it works against the beat. Here again, in the second example, I'll clap the first bar as it should be, the normal pulse, and then you'll see how I alternate between the syncopation and the normal pulse. So the first bar is normal, the second bar is syncopated, the third bar is normal, and the fourth bar is syncopated. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you know a musical called West Side Story by Leonard Bernstein, that 6/8 that we've just done is in one of the famous songs. I want to live in America. I want to live in America. It's the same principle there, where you have normal 6/8, but then it's divided into standard pulses like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Usually in 6/8, the pulse comes on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But in the second bar, it's coming on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's called syncopation. And that's where this lesson ends.